All right, welcome to Free Community Light Hours. My name is Susanne Conrad. I'm the founder of Lightyear Leadership, and today is March 16th, and we're doing a series of these community light hours to really help identify specific blocks to vision and to dreaming and to taking the next step. So sometimes the vision can be, oh, where I want to be 20 years from now. And sometimes it can be where we want to be on the other side of our bed. It can be that immediate and give us that visceral of a prompt of our next step. And I want to make sure that everyone on the line and people listening to the recording, so know that as you speak and share, this is something that will be available publicly on YouTube. So, don't share your Bitcoin cryptocurrency codes or anything like that, but pretty much everything that we have to share about our lives contributes to other people. But what I want to say to all people listening is that even though I am authentically smiling, I'm authentically one of the happiest people I know. I have the tools to be able to do that. I want you to know that I recognize that this is a challenging time for people. When I hear from people that direct message me either through lightyear.co or via email, or people responding to me on Instagram, I recognize that there's many people that have told me they're going through a rough patch. They're moving through bigger and more difficult things, or something changed. I'm going to use the word violently or drastically in the last month. So the tools that we want to lay out in the conversation that Nancy and I are here to provide is intended to meet people where they are, unsugar-coated in the reality of their Marchness. Now, so let me just lay out a couple ideas. And then I'm going to allow our Chief Success Officer and founder of Big Power Yoga, Nancy, to introduce herself more deeply. Let me just lay out a couple things that she can build on, and then we're going to work with the community. So today's Community Light Hour is about forgiving. And you might think, well, okay, that's it's straightforward, except for when it doesn't happen. So in the legacy that I received from my teacher, there's really 5 main blockers to being connected and to having our best life, to being able to be in vision and goals. And those would be worry, which we talked about previously, unforgiveness, judgment, fear, and doubt. So we'll be covering all of those. And yet they're a little bit of cousins, right? But we're going to talk about how unforgiveness works. And let's start at its most pragmatic level. So we are energy. Nancy shared with me, when I was there in Houston, all the folks that used to say they're in oil and gas, they're now all energy workers. So I'm going to just say we're all energy workers. We're people who work with and are created with energy. Okay. And you could also say we're magnetic. So unforgiveness is a magnetic field. And let me show you how it works. So if I wake up in the morning and I'm upset with myself because of a way that I ate, and if I don't clear that and be in forgiveness towards myself about it and learn, so now everybody here, forgiveness doesn't equal condoning. I have a very expensive transformational tool to share with you. It is the tissue. So then that begins to cover me. I have that. And then that begins to attract, well, maybe I did, maybe I'll do it again. Maybe I'll eat that same thing. Well, now that I've eaten that same thing, like maybe I'll just forget my hike. And then maybe when I forget my hike, maybe I don't do this. And then, it starts to become, so that's a very pedestrian example, but it could also be a scene from Susanne Conrad's very own life. Let's say I don't forgive myself for marrying the person that I knew not to marry. And it just stays there. So as all of these unforgivenesses start to collect in this magnetic pattern, what do they actually begin to do with the mind space that I have to dream? Right? It just, I just want to show it that it starts to cloud the whole thing. It starts to make it so that I'm magnetically charged to then attract more reasons to be in unforgiveness towards myself and towards other people. And it starts to make sense all the way down to, stuff like I do a lot of training in companies with people that are right at that customer support level. I'm looking at Dale. I know she and Colette both manage properties with tons of people, or maybe your careers have changed, but there's lots of people involved. And so when we're dealing with other people, we're also dealing with all of their collection of unforgivenesses, so that by the time they reach us in a customer support situation, they might be so frustrated by one small thing and they're ready to blame me for something that's actually something going on for them. And yet I need to be able to stay in unforgiveness towards them and myself so that I can learn and see what to do. Okay. Because if I all of a sudden get all reactivated by that, it's only going to take me down a spiral. So you've probably heard this from other quotes. I think it's a very valuable one. I don't know who to attribute it to, but it's intelligent. So when we are in unforgiveness towards ourselves or other people, we're actually giving them free rent. It's another synonym for resentment. So it's like renting out our dream space for a frivolous, petty tyrant, which we could eliminate with the spoken word. Now, I'm going to lay down one other track, Nancy, and hand it to you. So now we know a little bit about the nature of unforgiveness and how it can be extraordinary and about big, huge things, about relationships, marriage, our whole entire future, or something as small as what we ate. What we know is that it compounds. Now, the other thing that I feel needs to be taught is, so I work in a lot of corporate environments, and of course, forgiveness is very important in family systems. So the Lightyear curriculum is really the best leadership curriculum that integrates practical spirituality into the workplace and daily living. Now, people say, well, Susanne, why don't people forgive more? I'm going to tell you. Are you guys ready for the really exciting thing I'm going to say? It's because they don't know how, and they don't know that they can. So I'll just give you some examples. Some people have it collapsed with church, and they're like upset about church, or they're mad at that nun that hit their grandmother, like it's collapsed with something else. Some people don't, because they don't know it's a cup that's available for them to put tea into. They just don't know. Oh, you mean I could just forgive myself? Some people think it sounds all kind of like too crazy and sacred. So they'll say, well, I'm sorry, but sorry doesn't actually liberate this thing. I'm sorry. That actually can start to attract more. So the how to forgiveness is to recognize, there's something or someone to forgive. That's a correct question. And then the question would be, how many? Is it me? Is it someone else? And then it could be, what for? What is there for me to learn? What is and remember, as I said earlier, forgiveness doesn't equal that you've condoned the act. There's lots of things my first husband did that I don't condone and aren't even legal, and I can forgive them and learn. So authentic forgiveness requires taking responsibility. Whereas I'm sorry. This turns into one of those, instead of like, I forgive myself. Will you, let's say it was with Colette, will you forgive me for not doing what I said I was going to do today? And then it gives her the opportunity to say, well, actually, this is what I need. So it gives us a dialogue versus me just showing up sorry. So I've come to find that in most organizations and in most families, so in daily life and in the workplace, people don't forgive because they don't know how. And once they know how, they kind of, I'll get these messages like, well, that was easy. I could have had a V8, So that's what I want to start us off with. And then what we can also do is get a map. But Nancy has some wonderful jewels and tools that she uses that I'd love for her to come on, introduce herself, share with everyone. It's going to broaden the picture that we all have of this arena.
Thanks, Suzanne. Hey, everyone. Happy Wednesday. My name is Nancy Perry. Suzanne said I'm the Chief Success Officer here at Lightyear Leadership. I'm also an entrepreneur. I own yoga studios called Big Power Yoga and also Out Here Yoga, and also a yoga adventure retreats company, which is why I'm here in Panama right now. It's why I had this beautiful background. I don't usually have this beautiful of a background. I'm like looking at it. I'm like, ooh, it looks like one of those virtual backgrounds that you just get to edit in there sometimes. I'm like, here it is. So I'm so grateful to get to be here with y'all tonight. And I was messaging with Suzanne a little earlier today about our topic tonight. And well, let me say this first. So what I want to echo that Suzanne said is that is so important, is that forgiveness is not condoning. And my sense is one of the things that gets in the way and did get in the way for me of practicing forgiveness, both with myself and others, which they're super correlated, right? If I'm unable to forgive other folks, I'm way less likely to be able to forgive myself. I actually don't think I actually ever forgave myself until I gained the ability, or as I'll say, made the choice to start forgiving the folks that I felt that I was victimized, that I made myself the victim of. And so once I started making the choices to forgive those folks, I was able to forgive myself, which is where the liberation is. And so forgiveness is not condoning, and you can also forgive someone without trusting them. You can even forgive someone without liking them, right? And you can love someone without even like liking them. So, oh, I don't like that person. I don't trust that person. I don't even that. You don't have to do any of those things to be able to completely forgive someone. And one of the things I was sharing with Suzanne earlier today that has changed my life when I got it as a concept is I used to spend a lot of my time, or maybe 100% of my time, at 1 or 2%, worrying about when the other shoe was going to drop, or when there was going to be a bump in the road in a relationship, or when I was going to make a mistake, or when I was going to have a failure. And once I realized that, oh, wait a second, no matter what, I'm going to forgive myself and forgive other people, then all of that becomes a non-issue. So at Lightyear, we talk a lot about choice. It's why Lightyear exists, to give us the choice, like Suzanne said, to dream and create our futures and create our legacy moment to moment. It's all about choice. And in our level 3 curriculum, we have a principle that's called choice partners with decision liberates. So once I've made the decision in my life, oh, I've just already forgiven myself and everyone, things became a lot easier. There's way less drama. And the forgiveness for myself is the one I need to practice a lot. Like today, I noticed myself judging someone. And instead of being like, God, Nancy, like, why are you so judgmental? You're such a judgmental person. I could even notice myself starting to go down that path. I was like, oh, look at that. You were judging that person. Now go ahead and forgive yourself and make a new choice and learn from that. Right. So in not forgiving myself, what I would do is judge myself and actually make that thing more the same. And it's the same when we don't forgive other people. I remember the moment that I had the biggest breakthrough, and for the first breakthrough of forgiveness in my life, was when I decided to forgive my mom for things that I had decided that I was the victim of. And when I made that decision, not only was I able to then forgive myself, like I shared earlier, our whole relationship changed because I wasn't looking for a way to prove that I was right about her. And yeah, I mean, we've all, raise your hand if you've got something that someone else in the world could forgive you for. Raise your hand. Yeah. And raise your other hand if you've got something you could forgive yourself for that maybe even just happened today. Right. So it's a human thing. And the choice of forgiveness is such a beautiful, perfect thing. So to think like I should never have done anything wrong, to have to practice forgiveness is kind of how we get ourselves in this thing, or this thing. And so, right, the forgiveness as a correct, perfect thing we're meant to be doing all the time is a way to provide ourselves freedom and provide other people in our lives freedom. And that doesn't mean you need to call them or text them. And you could. Right? It gives you back the choice. It gives you back the choice that could change at any time. And someone that you forgive might never, ever, ever, ever change. You'll feel better though. And they will be this is my assertion and sense and on my understanding, is that if we do forgive people, they're more likely to change. We're at least kind of, tipping the deck, or I don't know if that's tipping the scale in that direction, stacking the deck, tipping the scale, you know what I mean? So yes, that's what I've got here on forgiveness today.
The term Nancy used that I want y'all to have, and I want you to give her credit for it, is pre-forgiveness. So she preloads in her day this pre-forgiveness. So she's already like, instead of like looking for the straight shot where life has no difficulties, she begins it with, oh, I'm forgiven myself and I'm forgiven other people. So when we run into bumps, we work it out, we talk it through. And that's like demagnetizing this whole thing. The pre-forgiveness, it's sort of like, oh, it just floats off. And I was like, what's pre-forgiveness? That's why you all want to be involved in a learning community, because, we're all teachers and students. And then she types back, well, this is what it is. I'm like, yeah, I want me some pre-forgiveness, right? Because it's like you take prenatal vitamins, you do pre-work, it's prevention. And this preventative, this pre-forgiving, it is all about creating the space for that future in the now. When you even look at the word forgive, it's giving forward and opening things up. So yeah, I feel like maybe just a little story. Let me get a fresh bagel. Nancy gave us a fresh bagel. I for fun and 500, and if somebody maybe sent me a bonus point for every time, I'm wondering what it would be like if I took a clicker through my conscious day. I'm not quite sure what happens in my dreams, and actually counted the micro times where I'm like going, oh, okay, I forgive myself there, just like Nancy did with the judgment, or, oh, I forgive that there. I understand. Okay, I see. Because it used to be I'd live on top of it. Some of you do this. Some of you just like, and then like, there they did it again. And then there starts to be like this buildup and this crust about that person, instead of me keeping it clean for us all the time. But I would love, maybe this will be a challenge we'll do one day in Lightyear, where I'd actually consciously look to see how many times, because I want everybody to understand this isn't like, oh, Susanne now lives in the clouds and doesn't ever get freaked out by people. I totally do. And myself. The main difference is I'm maybe catching it faster and dealing with faster. And so another way, a teacher of mine, actually when I worked in Washington, DC in my early 30s, a guy named John Lear, he said, well, sometimes you're going to need to ask for forgiveness. And you guys have heard this, because you don't want to ask for permission. And the forgiveness gives you a reverse gear in the future. You hear me? So like I'm in my marriage with Brett, and I do something that really crosses some place, then I can ask for his forgiveness and have a way to have a reverse gear in the conversation, instead of having to stick to my guns and be right about the thing that I said. We can sort it out. if we weren't recording this on YouTube, hi YouTube, we would play the song "We Can Work It Out" by the Beatles, because that's really what forgiveness is. It's like working it out between that two parts of yourself that get in that civil war and the other person. And as Nancy said, either you can text them, you can call them, and you don't have to, because people will sense, they'll feel what it feels like to be with someone who's learning, not necessarily condoning. They're also not judging, yet they're in a field of forgiveness. It's a field of great presence. It feels really good. All right, well, let's see. This part of Lighthours is now where we all talk as a community. And sometimes we get to work with one or two people and see how that unfolds. And before we do that, I want people that are newer to Lightyear or who are returning after a little while to see that the reason why we offer a future-facing social learning private non-ad platform is so that we can talk about these things regularly and give ourselves the tools to be self-coaches. That's really what the Lightyear Coach Training does, is it helps me first coach myself, like to be able to count, oh, okay, right there, forget that. And then be the space to begin to be that for other people. So I have a thought about how we could begin, Nancy. Before I do that, would you like to share anything that you see also? Yeah.
Well, the one other thing that I saw, Suze, that I wanted to share is that when you gave the example of you and Brett,
yeah,
I find that being around the amount of people that I'm around in my life, right? Whether, my kids, my husband, my teams, the people that I work with, that I ask for forgiveness quite often. Because as human beings, we're all taking things personally all the time, and we're either catching it or not, knowing that we're taking things personally or we're not. And I'm going to ask forgiveness even when things that I do weren't intentional, right? Like when it was on accident. So I ask for forgiveness a lot, not because I'm a bad person or I'm messing up a lot. And, I guess I am, but, in that correct way. And I'm asking for forgiveness a lot because forgiveness is the best way to neutralize something. And what you shared about Brett and going into the conversation and asking forgiveness is the only way that really works, is because you've already forgiven yourself. Mm-hmm. And so when you go, you've got to be forgiving with yourself to be able to receive something from someone else. You're only going to forgive yourself conditionally based on whether or not someone else is going to forgive you. You could be waiting around forever. And Lightyear's all about responsibility. Choice and responsibility are kind of very, if not the same thing, they are kind of the same thing, right? So to be responsible for our spiritual responsibility in our world of practical spirituality is to forgive ourselves, so we can get back to showing up and contributing.
So I want to just punctuate. We've got 3 main ideas on the table now, and Nancy just added one. The first one is that we forgive because it really releases us and gives us that space. The second reason why people don't forgive is because sometimes they don't know how. We also now have the idea that you can pre-forgive. And then this fourth thing that Nancy just said is going to be really relevant for many people, which is when we forgive, it doesn't mean that we're bad. So that could be another blocker for people, like why they might not have it in their ordinary vocabulary. It's like, well, I had to ask for forgiveness 4 times. What does that mean? It actually might mean that you're being more aware of what us getting swept up. So yeah. So Tanya, hi. I'd love to have you come on. It's so great to see you.
It's so good to see you too. I've been trying to incorporate. I was on one with Dale. I think maybe it wasn't Dale. I can't remember who I was on. I was on one of the goal ones about a month ago. And I was trying to incorporate more so. But so I appreciate being here again and seeing your face and everybody else. what was coming up for me, and I was recently listening to a podcast, and what came up for me was resentment. And what they describe resentment as, or like those feelings of resentment, one of the categories where it can come from is when someone's treading on your territory and you don't like what they're doing. So for me, I have like a lot of issues with my sister-in-law. And when I heard that, I was like, that's what it is. Like I could figure out kind of why I had so much resentment towards her. And it has to do with my nephews and my feelings there. But I realized that it was like, yeah, she was treading on what I think is best or what I wish she would do. And so it gave me a better understanding of why I have so much pent up. And so where I could just release that and, you know, speak to her about it, or just understanding it so I could just let it go. So
yeah. Now let me just offer how those could work together. It's been a little while since we've chatted about all the different family dynamics, but I'll just give Tanya a draft. Okay, folks, this is a little like shopping here at Lightyear. She can say, no, Susanne, I don't wear that color. But the spirit of the conversation with the sister-in-law out loud or inside Tanya's head could be something like, first forgiving yourself for resenting her, and now learning that it has something to do with a boundary that you honor. So that's part of the learning. And then you could go to her and say, hey, I noticed that I was resenting you. And will you forgive me? Because I'd like to talk to you about the things that are there. But I know that if I talk to you from, you know, that I am resentful, it won't go very well. And usually people are like, oh, I want to have that conversation. Now, what's your sense?
I love that. That's exactly right. So I was also trying, like, how do you navigate that? Because part of the podcast was suggesting that in order to release it, you had to have that discussion with somebody. And I thought, well, shit, how do you have that? So I love the way that you phrased that, because it's exactly, you know, it creates a more loving environment where people are more willing to then open up and share and be vulnerable. Yeah. Versus being defensive or.
Yeah. And then you, Tanya, can see, like, as you're forgiving yourself for whatever it was that, you know, you're not honoring in your territory, as you say, then it's like you take a step in to take a step out, folks. That's kind of how take a step in to take a step out. And she'll feel that. She'll go, oh, you know, Tanya's drinking the right smoothie. You know, people aren't going to know why you're different. They're going to feel somehow safer. And even as Nance said, even if it doesn't shift it, it shifts it for you. And you're the most important real estate.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So in that case, do you sense you could and would enjoy having a conversation with her? Or
I think it would be really helpful. I think it would be really healing, both, as you said, for myself and then for us, and that it would also probably change her perspective on me, because there has been angst, if you will, or discomfort, you know, in the relationship. So I think it would be a big benefit. Thank you.
Thanks for coming on and sharing real stuff. Because real stuff is what matters. Okay, so let's carry that on with folks that would either like some coaching or they were prompted by the question, oh, am I in unforgiveness towards myself about something? And if you hear the sense yes, then you could even just come on it and we'll work gently and kindly with you, and you can see what it is. And as you're queuing yourself up to be excited about doing that, let me just share another thing. What can also happen now that can we go back and do one other thing additionally, Tanya? Would that be okay? Just come back on, because I want to show this. I think it'll be easy and it'll help. So what can really help is to use the spoken word, even if she doesn't talk with a sister-in-law. So let's just go ahead and get them out, because that'll help people. And then I'll share this other story. So what really is there for you to forgive yourself for, so that you can learn and see what the source of the resentment is? Like, is there a place where you should have said no? What's there to forgive yourself for?
Oh,
Oh, no,
how
I'm
much
kidding.
time?
Like the main root of the weed. What's the main root?
The main root, I guess, if I could simplify it as best as I possibly can, is she's not mothering and she's not a good mother. And it's a very separate relationship with my brother versus the kids. The kids are very separate, and it's very hurtful to me. And she overheard conversations at their wedding, or their wedding week, I should say, because we were all traveling together, that I was saying that I was concerned because I didn't think she was a good mother figure for them because she doesn't enjoy that. So
forgive yourself for saying it in that way at that time. Yeah. Okay. And what is there for you to ask her forgiveness for?
That's a good question. For the way that I didn't come directly to her, and that we could have had a better conversation about it, about my concerns, and that I would have been obviously very powerful if I came directly to her versus she overhearing me complaining and being frustrated, about her to somebody else.
Perfect. So now, does everybody listening hear how those two uncouple? And then it gives Tanya the opportunity to actually have a take two if she wants one with that individual, Okay. So stay right there with what Tanya just shared, because some of you now see, oh, I see. Now, I wanted her to go back and say it out loud, because when she says it all out loud into the magnetic field, into the world of vibration and sound and emotion and intelligence and truth and light and all of that, it increases the probability of the conversation being successful or not needing to be had. So I often have situations where I was recently working with a Lightyear member and did a piece of work with them around owning aspects of their life. And this person was able to identify the conversation they needed to have and was ready to have the conversation. And then the need for the conversation dissipated because the energy changed and the person was able to assume their correct space, which is really what this one is about for you, Tanya. It's about space. Those are the three things we work with in Lightyear is time, space, and resources. So that's why we've designed a curriculum, like no matter what your time is, no matter what your resources are, and no matter what your space is, you can participate with us. Okay. That's what I wanted to say about that. That's the story I wanted to tell. I have a fun technique, but I'd rather do it with somebody. So who else has something or someone they want to forgive or something they want to share that they'd be willing, just as Tanya did, to talk about, Brittany, yay. Hey, you. Hi.
Hi. Okay, can everyone hear me?
You sound beautiful and clear and good. Yes.
Thank you. The timing of this was beautiful because I was on Facebook. Thank you, Nancy, for sharing this story today about this being on, because that's the only way I saw it, to be able to participate. And the theme of forgiveness struck me as something that I needed to be here tonight to participate in this. So thank you. I have a pretty big one. I'm ready to release it. I made a mistake in a job, and I was let go for that mistake in a pretty harsh way. And it's been difficult for me to forgive myself for that situation. I knew that it wasn't a good fit for me in that job, and I took it anyways. And I also, the mistake that I made was life-threatening because I work in the medical field. And I'm really grateful that the outcome was good. Thank God for that. And I can understand the concept of like everything's okay. It's in the past. I can forgive myself, and I've done a lot of other work, and it's just, it lingers for some reason, that being able to move on in my career, and really it's kept me stuck in all areas of my life for the past 2 years. And I'm ready to be complete with it. And I'm ready to, I'm ready to forgive it and to release it.
Okay, awesome. So she's ready. So that means that we can do this together. So Nancy, stay unmuted unless there's like a really great toucan or something in the background, just so that you can be fluid and we can do this together. But my sense is that it's in community and in the spoken word that really, like, you'll know what to do and what to say, Brittany. It's more that the community helps us dissipate something, because when it's a secret in our mind, or even in a one-on-one conversation, it sometimes doesn't have the weight and the power of what you're about to do. And I want to also let you know that you are living in a season, like people of your generation, you're going to live and participate. I have goosebumps head to toe in some of the greatest reconciliation conversations on planet Earth. And you're going to be able to do them because you began with yourselves. So I just am like, I want everybody to know when Brittany comes on and says, I have this big thing, I'm just inside my body, I'm going, yay, great. I'm so excited. And I don't want you to think I'm crazy for that. It's because I know when she does what she's just about to do, it frees thousands of other people in another way. Okay, so let's just listen here. I want to validate whatever work you've already done on this issue. What we're about to do does not negate any of it. It likely builds on all of it. And I want you to stay very much right now in this moment in who you are, because it will be easy to time travel back. I want you to stay right here with us. Okay. So can you see Nancy and her shirt and the color of that shirt?
Yes.
That's the color of forgiveness. Okay. So that's what I want you to keep your eyes on. I want you to keep your eyes. You're going to listen to me and keep your eyes on her. So let's go ahead, Casey. Let's get a map. We're just going to get a simple map of, and I believe you probably are aware of the navigate with inner hearing process that we use. And if you're not, you're going to be great at it. So you're going to listen for a number in 2 cases, and it'll just help us. So Brittany, for you to be 100% free to dream again, to take your next best, highest step in your career, to be in your full purpose and self-expression, how many things are there for you to forgive yourself for? It's probably a number less than 5. To identify today, and you'll just hear the number. Don't think of the things yet, just hear the number. Make it easy on yourself.
Well, the first number I heard was 7, and then you said less than 5.
Okay, she can have 7. Okay, okay, great. And how many things are there to forgive someone else for, or something else? Like, I've had to forgive companies. I've had to forgive, or not had to, but like, I've forgiven them. Forgive governments. You know, Chris and Casey and I and others on this line, you know, have gone to Mozambique where there's brutal civil war. There's things to forgive to be able to help. So how many to forgive of others? Number
3.
Okay, great. So that's 10 things total. Easy peasy, right? Okay, so now you're gonna just simply choose to succeed in identifying them, okay?
Okay.
Just know that you can, and you already have. And remember that forgiving yourself and others doesn't mean you condone it. It just simply means that you are forgiving it, and you're allowing yourself to learn and to grow and to take your next step. So Brittany, what's the first thing to forgive yourself for?
Past relationships.
Yeah. What aspect in it? Forgive yourself for not, or for doing.
Staying in a relationship
Yeah,
longer than I should have.
And she just stayed at the carnival too long, people. Most of the things we need to forgive ourselves for is when we needed to get onto the kingdom and we stayed in the carnival playing the slot machine, and she knows now, and she knows the difference, and she knows how to exit. So good job. That one feels like, yeah. Okay. And what's the second thing to forgive yourself for?
I currently live with my grandmother, and I am short. I get very frustrated sometimes. So patience, the lack of patience sometimes that I have in that situation, that's sensitive.
Yeah. Okay. So forgive yourself for being short with your grandma.
Impatient.
And impatient with your grandma. Okay. And what do you want to learn from that?
What do I want to learn from that?
Call in a friend. I'll help you. Sometimes she's irritating.
Oh, yes.
No, she is. She's your roommate. So you might need to talk to her about stuff, but I want you to just know, like,
this shifted our relationship. Yes.
Can you guys see how Brittany wants to be the perfect granddaughter and like whatever, but there'll be some things you just need to talk about, and she'll love it because you know what, you're both adults together.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a girl. Okay. So I'm going to stay on this column for a little, and then we're going to shift. What's the third thing to forgive yourself for? And the rest of these 5 things are likely back there, and they can also be private. You don't need to say them, but forgive yourself for something. Forgive yourself for
I need to
saying yes to that job. What was it?
For making the mistake.
And the mistake was saying yes when you knew not to. What would be a little more specific, at least with yourself, so I can feel the shift in your body?
Mm-hmm. It was actually not knowing my boundaries or hearing my intuition and ignoring it. It was so.
Okay, so that's 2. So Casey, forgive yourself for not listening and then ignoring. So that's now 4. Do you see how those are separate?
Yeah.
Good. But now forgive yourself for it. Did you just see her start to beat herself up? People, stop her. but see, that's how it works. So the smile's back. But so what do you need to really say to yourself and to us here to really have a learning from that? And it's going to happen again. It's just that the consequences and the time will be shorter. But so what do you want to learn there? Like, you're doing it for us. What is it? Forgive yourself for
what I want to learn. I want to learn that even when it doesn't make sense, that my intuition knows best, that's the direction that I need to take, even when it defies what my brain is telling me is logical to do.
Right. Okay. So you guys hear now, she can fully forgive herself because she understands that she was relying on this less reliable aspect, otherwise known as the rational brain. Because the whole thing was showing her something. Okay, you're being totally perfectly genius. All right, bonus lesson. Okay. Casey, you're funny. Okay, so now, we have 4 things on that column. Let's put the what is that called? A comma there. And then we're going to go here. What's the first person, place, or thing to forgive? Now that you've forgiven these 4 here, there's something or person to forgive, and they might even be unforgivable, but you can. It's
Yeah,
that one. And you don't need to say, but it's that one. And what you can tell us, you don't need to ever condone it. What you can tell us is what you've learned. The cost of that tuition has now given you a PhD in what? Stay a little light with it, but
yeah,
that one.
It's around like standing up for myself, I guess, around knowing my worth.
Yeah. Owning. Is it an ownership? I'm pretty sure it is. It's owning your what? Like, so it's your worth. It's owning your, So now you know how
I think
to own.
it's owning, well, I don't think it's owning my authenticity, it's
Yeah.
kind of my weirdness.
Yes, we would call it our peculiar, but we understand what you mean. You know, in the scriptures, it says, be ye a peculiar people, like whatever, like really owning that peculiar, that, oh my goodness, that, and what she said, her authenticity, her weirdness. We'll let you have your words. We'll take it because she's saying, I gotta have a voice. Okay, and what's the second person, place, or thing to forgive? And this one you probably can say. This one feels like, do you know, like in sports, how there's a technical foul? You know, it's like a technicality. It's something went sideways with a something.
Yes.
So is it a person, place, or a thing to forgive?
It's kind of a situation.
Yeah, it's a situation, and there's a thing in a person. So that situation, so you need to forgive a person in that situation. Okay, so
yes.
Identify that person and what is there to forgive them for. Because as you unlock this, it's going to unlock those three other things that you're going to forgive yourself for, and you're going to be free to dream. We're just listening and tracking. So it is.
In that situation, I felt like my trust was abandoned, like betrayed.
Yeah, that person.
I confided something.
That person betrayed you.
Yes.
Yeah. To forgive the betrayal.
It was someone in a leadership position that I really felt I could trust, that was older than me. And
yes. Okay. And now this is for learning. So this is so that we all have a relationship. I'm not attempting to take any of us to church. I'm a universal teacher. Anyone who wants to read the story and the life of Jesus Christ, well, he says, the cock's going to crow 3 times. He says, you're gonna deny me. It's okay. He had the pre-forgiveness running that Nancy's talking about, because he's like, you don't yet have the spiritual development to hold the secret, or whatever that was. That person, that situation did not have the maturity that you believed. But so now I want to have you look and see, you had also switched your intuition off, and your intuition was like, well, shoot, she doesn't listen anyway. Right? So now you'd be able to see that and be able to see who can actually hold information correctly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Did you guys hear her see that? Well, I want to see, this is not just Susanne talking here, with Brittany. This is all of us checking and feeling, and this is Zoom. Thank you, Zoom. The third person, place, or thing to forgive, to really allow you to dream. So it was that first thing, this person in that situation, that betrayal. And the third is, this is a place. There's a place. Now, listen, everybody, it could be like a place, like a room you were in. It could be a place like someone else's hell realm, like that you got taken to because you weren't in your own listening. So it could be quite abstract like that, but it's a place. And I want you to forgive that place, because she's magnetically going back to that place. It has her coordinates. It takes her back there. And there's just no yummy there. So it's time to forgive that place. And it could have been, an office where the dismissal happened. I don't know, but you're going to know. It's that place. Here, I'll help you. Is it physical? Is it a physical place? Is it a place, an energy? It's a physical place.
Yeah.
But there's an energy connected with it.
Yes.
And the place. Yeah.
I also heard it's like a place in a place. Like it's a specific place in a place.
Yeah. Okay.
Like it like maybe even look smaller.
Let's get it and let's forgive it. Because it's taking up rent in your head, that place.
Mm-hmm. I have it.
Okay. So now what do you need to either learn, or what truth do you require to have the power and capacity to forgive that place? You do not need to condone it, because it actually acts a little bit like not a torture chamber, but I just have to say that to kind of give you it's just not good for you. So what's required for you to truly forgive that and step out and close the door and not have any more energy around it? What do you need to learn or know, or both? It's going to be something simple, like it's always had a door and I can go out of it. But there's a way that it can you feel how it just took you there?
Mm.
Did you, like, you could watch a recording, do you feel
Yeah,
your energy kind of go in and this thing happened?
It was to change my situation. It was to get me out.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
So go forgive that place, and you do not need to condone. There's something about that place that actually like strips you of choice. Okay. So go to that place and get your choice back on, and then forgive it and leave it.
Okay.
A little more. She needs one more thing. You're so great. You're doing so great. I'm not gonna leave your cuticle in that place. So forgive it for, you've forgiven it. It's not quite whatever. What kind of place is it? Is it a home? Is it an office? You can just give us the general coordinates.
It's a hospital room.
Yeah. Okay. So Dorothy, my teacher, used to talk about how these hospital rooms hold all this energy because all these things have happened there.
Mm.
And so I'm going to tell you what, I want everybody on this line, everybody listening to the recording, hear this. I'm speaking to you. Why it didn't shift yet is it's not just what happened with her. It's lots of things that didn't ever get forgiven. Look, okay, I know we're getting to time. I know exactly what I'm doing. Today, a good friend of my husband's spent the night last night and said, oh, I really want to go up to see, this is about 20 miles north of our home here in Utah, to go to see the Mountain Meadow Massacre, which is a place that it isn't the greatest tragedy of the West. It's one of them, though. And it's where an entire wagon train of immigrants from Arkansas were deceptively betrayed and slaughtered by Mormon militia. And so it's a monument that is doing its best to reconcile the guilt and trauma of, it's complicated.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh my gosh, I was telling my friend, I'm leading this light hour with my colleague Nancy on unforgiveness, and I was like, it's the place. And so I went and did some things that I knew to do, because in a way, it's not about me, but I live here.
Mm-hmm.
See, so there's something that you're providing now to that room, to that hospital, that I want you to just get big enough to see how wonderful it is, how powerful you are, the power of forgiveness. There's just there's something that that they want you to see and understand, so that you can forgive all of that there. And then we're going to go tidy up a couple other things. So do you see that now, though? It's not
I
just
felt
you.
that energy in my whole body when you said that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You see that now.
And the words that just came was that it needed to happen
for you maybe to see, because now you're forgiving that whole thing. Someone's going to walk into that room and difficult things are not going to happen to them because of who you are today. That's what I want you to see. I'm thinking, why am I going back to the Mountain Meadow Massacre? Well, because it needed me there. It needed me there. Do you see that?
Yeah.
Okay, there. Okay, now she did it. Okay, just touch your fingertips together. I know, and maybe get a little sip of water, because we're just going to tidy you up just a little bit. It's going to be easy.
I
Still has her hand up. Yeah, of course. Well, I did too. Good job. I'm just saying amen to you. So now, Casey, she's got 3 more things to forgive herself for, correct? Just making sure I'm mapping. Thank you. That's why we map, because if we had to know it all before we begun, we'd be relying on the rational mind to count. This is a different process. So the 5, 6, 7. The 5th thing to forgive yourself for is what? And this is going to be kind of just a little bit more fun. The heavy lift is over. Forgive yourself for, I'll give you some examples. Like for me, like for not falling in love earlier when I could have, and beating myself up forever and thinking I should swear off men. You know, it's forgive myself for, you know, it's going to be just like the little times I've pissed up a rope, is the way Dorothy used to talk about it. So this 5th thing to forgive yourself for is what? Just forgive yourself for.
That was a good example for not letting yourself fall in love again.
Yeah, forgive yourself for that. Okay, and stop it. $1,000 a minute coaching. Okay, and what's the 6th thing to forgive yourself for? That's really going to allow you to dream. So it could be things like for not writing my resume, for not reaching out to the people that I know want to hire me in my next thing. It's going to be something practical. It's something about the next 2 steps you're supposed to be taking. And when I say supposed to be, I don't mean in that like suppressive way. I mean like in that prompted way. So forgive yourself for not, because then you'll get back all the time you lost. When you forgive yourself for some place where you procrastinated or delayed, you get the time back. I promise. So forgive yourself for
not starting to teach.
That's right. And the 7th thing is, because she's teaching now. I know, I laughed so loud. What's the 7th thing for?
Oh gosh, I'm crying and laughing at the same time.
It's sweet. It's a sweet thing. It's an arena of self-care, of self-love. Forgive yourself for something like,
yeah. For just not using my education. I've been learning and consuming a lot without
that's not it.
It's not it.
No. See, because you are using your education. Forgive yourself for not something yet.
Yeah.
It's just forgive yourself for not knowing it when you start. What is it?
Oh, for not starting my business.
Yeah, right. Forgive yourself for not starting your business. That's all. And now when you start it, you'll have all that energy that'll be like this sweet energy. It won't be this one. So how's that feel?
Really good.
Oh my gosh, you're my hero. Thank you so much for having it be something of actual consequence. So now you have, your community and your friends and teachers to support you as you write your vision and goals, which we know has to do with your wonderful education and teaching and balancing your intuition with your rational self, and really having, a master's in forgiveness. And, good job. That's really good job. Good job. Okay. Aw, if I were to play you a song, it would be a beautiful, beautiful song about nature. Nature shows us about forgiveness, about to take everything that we think is a failure, but then it just drops to the earth and composts and makes the spring. And so you're going to have just the most wonderful spring, Brittany.
Thank you.
Yeah. Good job.
Thank you.
Well, here's what we're going to do, team. I have like a flow of things that we want to share a bit about why we do what we do at Lightyear. And this is an opportunity for people to understand how they can participate more. And Nancy, would you be good to just kick us off a bit with that? And the sunset.
All of the lights went out. There's a power outage and the internet stayed on. So it's very dark here.
Oh
yeah.
My goodness.
And the internet and it also did get dark, which is why it's dark.
I feel so grateful.
Yeah, I know. I'm so grateful. This internet is wonderful. And then my iPhone flashlight is what's giving me this glow. Yeah. So we decided to do community light hours to give people their next step within Lightyear and to give people a taste of what Lightyear is. And as Suze mentioned, one of the amazing things that it is, well, it's a community. And then there's also Lightyear.co, which is a platform that holds the community, because the Lightyear community exists all over the world, right? Like all over the world, right? We've got Germany, Panama, Houston, Colorado, Utah. We've got, everywhere, North Carolina. So the Lightyear.co exists for us to all be in a daily practice of Lightyear, or whatever frequency you'd like. So it could be daily. And that's one of the things I remember talking to Suze when I first started Lightyear, started working with her. I was like, how do I do this every day? And it's like, well, what it's like, I know what a daily yoga practice looks like. And what does a daily vision and goals practice look like? Like I needed that in my life. So Lightyear.co gives us a place to all come together in two really important ways in my experience. Well, I'll say three really important ways in my experience. One is I get to have my own future and my own platform, my own future page, which is my profile, that reminds me every single day what my legacy statement is, what my vision statement is, what my goals are. I can tweak them. And one of the most important things I've gotten from keeping my page up to date is I can just delete a goal. Never mind switching it, got new information.
I love that feature.
Right. So my goal, I know. And I can mark a goal as complete too. So I love marking things as complete. So my future page gives me a page to hold my future, and I can look at it and read it and see it in the spoken word every single day. That's one of the things it does. And I can also click on Casey's profile or Alicia's profile, or and see what their vision or their goals are, and it knows how to. That helps me know what to hold for them in their lives. So the platform, it's amazing like that. So that's one feature. And then it has all of our courses. It's where we all log in to join Light Hours every week. And then it has all different sorts of workshops and other things that you can join. And then also it's a social platform. So it's got a news feed where people are sharing their updates on the things that are important to them. You can direct message each other. You can be in channels, and it's all around this. Your vision, your goals, dreaming, forgiving, loving, all of that. And like Susanne said, it's ad-free. So it's just the most amazing digital community that there is. So what's your next step is why we decided to do this. So one of the things that you might do is join us for a membership. It's $15 a month. Susanne leads a conversation like this every single Monday at noon Central Time, so 10 a.m. Pacific. And we're adding in a second one on Fridays, a second Light Hours on Fridays that I'll be leading Friday mornings at 9 a.m. Central Time. Those two things come in your membership.
Brackets for your week.
Yeah. Setting the tone for your week and then completing your week and setting the tone for your weekend. And if you don't come, they're recorded and they get sent out to every member. And then you also have the news feed and all that good stuff, and the place to keep your vision and goals up to date and held for you and read for you and shared. And then we've also got Lightyear Coach Training coming up, which is one of the things that we're the most excited about, because it's where we get to immerse ourselves for a whole year in what this work can do for our own lives, and also for the lives of people that we care about, and even people that we haven't met yet and that we're going to meet that we care about. And this year we're kicking it off in a modular way. So if you're like, I love this. And I don't know if I want to become a coach yet. We've designed our coach training in 4 really different modules that you can participate in if you want to immerse yourself in one aspect of it, or you want to take it one step at a time. So those are 3 potential steps. And really that's like 4 or 5 potential steps that you could take next with Lightyear.
That's so awesome, Nancy. And just back to the thing about time, resources, and space. We of course love Zoom and record things and embed them in the platform so they're there for you. And then we also do in-person events and weekends, which we'll be doing in Houston. So those might be things that people want to come to. You're just like, oh my God, I just want to meet people. I want to go eat barbecue. I want to shoot tequila. I don't know. Put it in your vision and goals and come, and then you could mix it up with some yoga at Nancy's studio and go do all the Houston things. It's been a long time since the community's been together. So, those are things that you could just sign up for those, not just, but you could sign up for those. And then there's people that I see here that I, know that I've taken through personal legacy and or integrated leadership, as Nancy has, I'm sure also. So you could join us for our immersion as a reviewer, or if you wanted to do coach training, you've already done that, and you could join one of the other modules. So it's designed for working people. It's designed for, it's designed so that people don't have to become a coach to get the benefits. So let me just ask you, do you imagine that, like, Brittany, I'll even ask Brittany, she may, well, I mean, I'd love to have you be a Lightyear coach. And that's not as likely as, maybe, but like, would the skill of being able to support yourself and other people in forgiveness be a helpful thing in daily living? Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
So that's the kind of, and you'd be surprised at how many places I get hired to work in companies. And the main issue is, people are cranky because there's unforgiveness. Mm-hmm. So, it's all pretty translatable. We make it so that it's translatable. And for me, it's the best thing that we do is help people activate their best thing that they do. We have a lot of human beings walking around the planet right now with unactivated gifts or unintegrated gifts. Like, you might be a person who does 3 things. You're like, how do I bring all that together? We help you do that. The community does, honestly. Yeah. So this is the part where you could ask questions about anything about Lightyear, or we could answer a question about what we love about Lightyear. So let's just turn it over to y'all.
Nancy, I have a question.
Sure.
Yeah. So we know, you're an incredible entrepreneur with your own businesses where you've trained people. You are an experienced yoga teacher, trainer. And this is your first time co-leading Lightyear Coach Training with Susanne. And so I'd really love to hear why this specific Lightyear Coach Training is really exciting for you to be leading. Like, what are you most excited about?
Oh my gosh, what a fantastic question. Well, one of the things that I've been experiencing in my yoga studios is we're on the other side of something. I don't know if it feels for everyone like, oh, I'm on the other side, but we're on the other side of something collectively. And that's always an amazing place to be, is on the other side. I know that's when I have, when I always take my upgrades, when I'm on the other side of something really big and really challenging or really scary or really exciting. So when I'm on the other side, I'm like, what? Okay, I'm a new person now. So it's gonna, like, there's new things available. And I feel like we're in that as a collective right now. And that is the most exciting thing for me, is that we are all on the other side of something and nothing is the same. And we all have that pull to go back and try to recreate the same. And Lightyear's all about going forward. So this is an incredibly unique opportunity in history for us all to create something brand new from the other side of something so big. So I am so excited to get to do that with everyone. And I don't know what it is, you know. Like,
We'll have to find out.
I don't know. I'm excited to find out what it is. Because if we knew, then that would just be rephrasing. So I'm kind of excited that I don't know. I don't know what we're going to create. Yeah, I just know it'll be really fun.
The other thing that's fun about it too, Casey, for me with co-leading with Nancy and the community, is that this is the year where success is a choice. So it's going to be about getting the resiliency in your life so that all you have is plan A. You know, whatever your backups are, let's get them in plan A so that you don't have a plan B. You just got this robust plan A that's successful and that you can choose. You know, that's, to me, that's the best, you know. And what I'd say, a slightly different question about, you know, why is it my favorite program? I'm just going to tell you the truth about some things that I know, because I'm 30 decades into this stuff, 30 decades into it. So I get to say stuff. And I don't have to have like data and Harvard Business Reviews to validate me, because I know if you really want to have a long-term sustained transformation, you need a year. The day is coming where I'll only do programs that are, you know, 2 to 3 days long when we're in person, because people need to be in the thing long enough. Now that sounds kind of punitive. And of course, you know, we have all these things going on that are moment to moment, but this is the best program because it uses the basic premise of receive, integrate, and share. So the people receive the work, they get to embody it, they get to integrate it in their voice and their way of working, and then go share with their friends and communities vision and goal creation, forgiveness, boundaries, I am, you are. So they get to have the people around them be 100% different and touched. And, you know, I don't want to say it's not the kind of thing to sign up for lightly, yet if you hear a yes, just do it. It's going to work out, because we've designed it so that people can be successful. And we've designed it so that if you got to complete a certain part of the program this year, you can complete another part next year. You know, we're building in the resiliency so that it's plan A. Go on Lightyear and look at my legacy statement. It's all about your generation fulfilling plan A. Actually, I want to share that just a sec. It's just going to make me happy because it's a big thing for me. So here's my future profile. So here I am in Southwestern Utah. And this is my legacy statement. My intuitive intelligence co-designs great organizations. My gift of the gab expresses my devotion to creation and this earth. My faith in current and future generations empowers them to successfully lead themselves every day to fulfill plan A. So that's why I love the Lightyear Coach Training the most, because I get to be living my legacy. So that's what I want to say. Huh. Put on my West Texas hat and say, that's right. Okay, that's all I've got, Casey.
Well, thank you both so much. I'm going to put a link in the chat. This is a link to the Lightyear Coach Training homepage on lightyear.co. So if you have questions and want to take a look at the PDF that talks about the program details, click that link. My ask is, if anybody is interested in any aspect of what we've talked about today, click that link and book a call. We have an awesome team of 5 people that are so excited to book calls with you. I was trying to listen if there are 4 of us that are on that page. And we're so ready to chat with you about these tools, about programs that can support you. We have a range of payment options as well for Lightyear Coach Training. We have a range of programs with a range of commitments. So as Susanne talked about time and resources, we've really intentionally crafted programming this year to meet people where they're at. We want to go where you are, and then we want to have a party there. So come and click that link, you know, schedule a call with us. We're super fun people. We love to chat. And the reason we're asking for a call is so that we can really hear, you know, what your goals are, so that we can support you with something that is specifically crafted to support what you want to create in your life. Because that's what we're here to do, is bring that choice and that practical spirituality. So thank you all so much for joining us today. Are there any other questions or anything anyone else wants to share, Susanne or Nancy?
The only thing I'll add to that is that there are BIPOC scholarships available for everything we do at Lightyear. So if you identify as BIPOC or you know someone that does, same, set up a call.
Yeah. Take off the blockers. Well, I really enjoyed being able to share about forgiveness with you, Nancy. I learned some new things. And I also got to experience the grace that comes by trusting when a person raises their hand the way Brittany did and says, I'm ready. Like, I always step into the front row with that person. And there's people around us all the time that are waiting to be asked. So Lightyear teaches us ways to ask people to step up to the dance they've always wanted to be asked to. Like, I don't know if any of you identify as like serious introverts. I'm that person. That's why marketing has been challenging for me. And so I now understand that my job is to just keep giving people an opportunity to raise their hand and to trust that people are ready. So, okay. I love you guys. Thanks for setting it all up, Casey. Thanks everybody for finding us. Thanks for bringing us your friends. Thank you, Crystal and Daria and Alicia and Liz and Allison and Marielle. You saw Marielle was doing her weights. You could always do that on Lighthours, get on a treadmill. So let's just all unmute and say goodbye and go have a beautiful evening. And
thanks
love
everyone
to your
watching the
grandma,
recording.
Brittany.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Okay. She loves you.
Thanks, everyone.
Hi, Barbara. Also good to see
Hi,
Thank you.
you.
Bye, Bill.
Bye.
Bye,
Bye.
Dana.
Bye, Bill.
Bye.
Thanks for coming.
Daria,
Bye,
I hope
Chrissy.
Germany's
Bye.
great.
Karen.